Matt Porter is my first guest of the morning. Matt is a tech guru and is on the line now. Morning to you, Matt.
Good morning.
Right. So are we heading for a cashless society, do you think?
Well, I think everything's kind of in place for that already, isn't it? We have major retailers that have their own payment gateways in place now. You know, the big online retailers who have almost forsaken banks themselves. They've kind of become banks in their own right to take our money, and they've made it as easy as possible to do. So that's on the online. But of course, as you said, with card payments now, we're only having to wave either our debit cards at a machine, or with the integration with mobile phones, we wave our mobile phones at them. So interestingly enough, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, I actually drew some money out of a bank machine, and that's the first time I've done that in a very, very long time. So I've been kind of completely reliable on alternative ways of paying, electronic payments.
Yes, so obviously being a bit of a tech whiz kid there, you are obviously embracing the society. What can I ask why you had to draw cash out? What was the situation?
I think I was just wanted to buy something in a shop that didn't take cash payments. Didn't take electronic payments.
Yeah.
It was just I had no alternative. But yeah, I have. I guess being a gadgety tech guy, I will embrace these things to a certain extent. I've got a debit card which is from another bank, a very, very new bank, which has only launched in the last year or so, and that has a completely different model from traditional banks. So with the advent of these kind of technologies, there are new alternative methods of paying things that are now appearing. Obviously, if you've got someone like Amazon who have their own payment gateway, or eBay, which is linked to PayPal and all of those things, then they're processing billions of pounds worth of payments sort of every day, really. So I think we're heading towards a completely cashless society, although this has been going on for a long time. There was I can't remember the name of the company, but there was a company about 25 years ago that was launching a cashless kind of alternative, and that never really got off the ground.
Okay, so I'm thinking, I embrace the new technology. I don't know if you heard earlier, I've got the watch so I can pay, and I find that very, very convenient. And I'm thinking that, yeah, all right, in the UK, in big cities particularly, this will work and work well. But here in a smaller society like Guernsey, say like Alderney, for example, is it going to work as well, do you think?
Well, having been to Alderney, I'm not sure whether I'd kind of be wanting to go a bit off the grid if I was living there, and I'd sort of embrace that kind of thing as well. I think that we are sort of inextricably heading towards it, whether we like it or not. And, there was a time not very long ago where everybody relied on writing checks.
Yes,
and
good point.
It would be interesting, although they were going to phase checks out, they didn't, but still I'd be interested to see how many times people still write checks. Very rarely. I wouldn't even know where my checkbook is. So, we are used to having these traditional ways of exchanging money, and we all fight against it because it's different and it's not the norm. But eventually we either find the benefit and embrace it, or everybody decides it's not a great idea and it isn't a success. So I think it is the people that drive these things forward. But yeah, I'll be interested to, I don't know, I haven't been to Alderney for about 30 years, so I don't know how connected they are now. But I've been to the remotest parts of Scotland, the remotest part of Scotland, and was able to charge an electric car and get 4G broadband. So,
oh, wow, that's pretty good.
There you go.
Well, we're doing the show from Alderney on Monday, I think it is, so we'll check it out when we get there. I'm just wondering, do you think it might be a generational thing as well, Matt?
Well, it is. These things are, and I went to see a neighbour yesterday who is quite elderly, and I walked in there and she was sitting there with her iPad on her lap.
Oh, wow.
And I was surprised, but I shouldn't be surprised really, because technologies have been designed to be usable by a range of people, and I was impressed. I was showing her, we're moving home soon, and I was able to show her where we're moving to using her iPad, and she was actually explaining to me how I switch it on, although I did know, but I went along with it. But so I think, yes, it is generational. People are used to doing things in a particular way and paying checks and stuff like that. But yeah, we can't do much but embrace it, I think.
Yeah, and there is another argument that it's more difficult to keep tabs when you're spending it electronically. Like I was saying, I wave my watch around and pay for things here, there, and everywhere. But ask me how much I've spent on that watch in the last week, and I wouldn't have a clue, Matt.
Interesting again is that I have linked, so I use Android Pay to pay with my phone. And so every time I pay, it obviously beeps and sends me a little message straight away saying how much I've paid. However, because I've linked other cards to that account, although I don't use them to pay with using my phone, if I do use them, I will get a notification that they've been debited. So that's another thing entirely, is trying to keep tabs on your money, because obviously these companies want you to spend, but the ease of spending is a little bit scary, that you can, if you're not controlling these things, allow these things to be used or using them yourself a little bit more freely than you would if you just drawn cash out of the bank, put it in your back pocket and said, that's my budget for today or this week.
Yes, yeah. I think that would probably be the way to do it. And just going back to the big city example, in London, I know now, although I haven't travelled through recently, you can just wave your card or your watch at the card reader, say on the Underground station, and it will debit the amount of the fare.
That's right. And Oyster, I think they call that Oyster cards.
Yeah, I've got an Oyster card. But you can do it on your watch now. You can do it on your normal debit card.
They're all linked. Yeah, everything has now been linked because you have these contactless chips in most cards now, and the technology's in practically everything. It's called NFC or RFID, which is the technology that enables you to do it. So that there's obviously convenience as well, but you see these other videos around and warnings where people are saying that someone can scan your card on contactless just by walking by you. So I think a degree of care is required, like you would, you keep these things in a safe place as well.
Yeah. Think of it as cash, I suppose, really.
Exactly what it is, it's just cash.
Yeah. Having said that, I've never had any problems so far, fingers crossed, with paying electronically, but I have had my card cloned a couple of times in years gone by.
Yeah.
So
I had my I've had my identification cloned as well. A long time ago, I had a company ringing me up saying that I hadn't paid a loan payment, and it was one of these payday loan companies, and I said I haven't even contacted you, and it turned out that it was somebody in Toxteth in Liverpool who had made the loan request in my name, and I then had a long conversation with my bank saying, surely you would have noticed that I live about 400 miles away from Liverpool, so that it should have rung alarm bells. But yeah, I think that's the society we live in. We have to be very careful.
Matt, thanks for your time this morning. Interesting stuff. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.